How many grams of water, H2O, are in 18 grams of water? Have they previously defined a composition of water, like with minerals and such? 18 grams of whatever is always 18 grams. This is always true, unless you're comparing a kilogram of steel to a kilogram of feathers. Let's see, mathematically, which of these numbers is the largest? Number of hours in a year, number of days in a decade, number of minutes in a week, number of seconds in a day. Let's see here. B is bigger by 1 order of magnitude. Okay. A great way to make passive income is to take $3 million and buy an 8% treasury bond. You'll make 20 grand a month just by doing nothing. Finally, some advice for the common man. Damn, I've been keeping my $3 million in a jar on top of the fridge like an idiot. Should there be a wealth tax? 8 guys in this country have more money than 4 billion people combined. But yeah, the mom buying groceries with food stamps is the problem. The number is based on wealth. The poorest 2 billion people combined still add up to negative wealth due to debt. I believe around 2017, the approximate number was the poorest 2.8 billion people finally broke even at $0. You could have a positive net worth and still be in the poorest 2.8 billion despite having the same wealth as the poorest 2.8 billion combined. The number is meaningless and the argument is stupid. Yes, they have too much wealth. No, debt should not be calculated this way. If the world had a one-on-one tournament, the winner would only need 33 wins. This assumes a single elimination, best of 1 tournament. Say something like rock, paper, scissors, or a coin flip. You need 1 round for the finals. So 1 game for the finals. Semifinals has 4 people. Quarterfinals has 8 people. Each round cuts the field in half. The winner only needs to win 1 round from that game. With 33 rounds, you get 2 to the 33 power, 33rd power, whatever. That's 8.5 billion. World population is 8.3 billion, so the winner might get a bye in the first round and only have 32 games. But 33 games guarantees the win. I grab 2 of the 10 arrows without looking and fire them, hoping I didn't grab one of the 5 cursed ones. Did I? Okay. Roll, hang on. Roll 3d6 and a d4. You need 16 or better to avoid the cursed arrows. I got way more annoying to play D&D with once I learned that our DM has a combinatorics degree and can't resist puzzles? I see. What is combinatorics? Is an area of mathematics primarily concerned with counting. Okay. Arranging and selecting objects with finite or discrete structures? I guess yeah, sure. I've never heard that word before, but that's gotta be very, very fun for you for the first 2 times you do it. Please, I'm just saying, when you're playing D&D, I know that you're not there to be as fast and efficient as possible. It's part of it's the journey. Who gives a shit about getting to the end, really, right? But maybe don't be the annoying guy that causes someone's turn or your turn specifically to be 30 minutes long, please. Just, come on, roll 5d10 behind the screen. Re-roll any with the same result, and have the player say 2 numbers. If either of their choices match the dice, they're cursed. I will provide player responses. DM. Okay, so you fire 2 of 10, say 2 numbers then, player. 11 and 12. I mean numbers between 1 and 10. 3.12 and 3.6. Whole numbers between 1 and 10. 4 and 4. Distinct. No, wait. Rocks fall. Everyone dies. I think after 11 and 12, I'd say they're both cursed and there are somehow still 10 arrows in your quiver. Yeah, we do need DMs that, they gotta be able to dish this back out, okay? Dish it back out. They're gonna be smart asses because there's one in every single D&D campaign. There's one guy that thinks he's like the Deadpool of the group, okay? So that DM has gotta be a little meaner, just a tiny bit meaner, like 1, maybe 2% meaner to that one player if they're gonna keep doing that shtick, right? Because it's not very fun. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not very fun. Tell me something I don't know. If you were in $7,000 every hour of every day since the birth of Jesus Christ, you still wouldn't be as rich as Jeff Bezos. Man, I sure would have loved to have made $7 grand an hour for the last, God, how many years has it been since Jesus was born? Hang on, let me see, 100, 1,800. It's been a while. It's been at least 10 years since he was born, I guess. Don't quote me on it or anything, please. Jeff Bezos' net worth, $210 billion. So 210 billion divided by 7,000 equals 30 million working hours to surpass him. There are 8,760 hours per year. So around 3,424 years to catch up to Jeff Bezos' current wealth at $7,000 an hour. If it was expanding at its current rate, literally never, because it expands by around $8 million an hour. I'll never understand the people that try their damnedest to defend somebody who has that much money. I know he doesn't have all of it sitting in a bank account. I understand how this enormous amount of wealth does happen. It's not cash in a room somewhere, you know? But it's funny whenever anybody points that out, and then you see someone like Elon Musk suddenly come up with the $48 billion out of nowhere to purchase a website, right? They can get it if they want at any time, right? I'll never understand thinking it's okay. I don't get it, all right? None of us, you and I, none of us are ever going to suddenly have billions of dollars. We're not, okay? That's not a thing that actually just happens, you know? No matter how hard you work. It's such a cosmic cauldron full of luck for these people, okay? And all they want to do is hoard and let everybody else die and deal while they suck away everything we make and work towards. So, if there is a hell, it's reserved for people like Jeff, Elon, a lot of them, dude. If you could produce a sound louder than 1100 dB, you would create a black hole and destroy the galaxy. Children on airplanes. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Yes, children are very loud. My least favorite part about them actually is how loud they are. But 1100 decibels, that's crazy though, because if you experience like 120 for longer than like 20 seconds in a given week or something, you'll give yourself like permanent lifelong hearing damage. And let's say you get more of that, like in the next week, you get more of that volume, you'll probably be deaf, right? It's insane how weak our hearing actually is, or susceptible it is. And I did not know it was a logarithmic scale, okay? So what would 1100 dB like be volume-wise versus, say, your recommended limit of like 80? And 80 tops is something that you should, like 2 hours a week of 80 to 85 decibels is like okay, but it should be quieter than that, right? That's insane, and I can't even fathom in any universe how loud that would actually be, right? Of course, something that loud would literally liquefy you in an instant, or spaghettify you, or turn you into actual space dust the second it happens, but, oh, good God, man. That is just an insane number when it comes to decibels. dB are on an exponential scale. So if you calculate what would be the energy of 1100 dB, it would probably correspond to the energy contained in a black hole. But 1100 dB doesn't exist. Even 350 dB doesn't exist. At some point, it is a shockwave, not sound, and even shockwaves have a limit of energy. Then it is just moving matter. Right, I kind of figured that a number like that was obviously not possible. I didn't even think that something over 200 would be possible, although that might be. You know, I'm not the most cleverest of them all, as you all know, but damn. Yeah, I still can't even imagine, but I'm glad this guy was here to let us know, you know, spit some quick facts for us. 99% chance of getting $1 million, or a 1% chance of becoming a girl. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, for me, I don't see a downside. Either, oh no, I'm a girl now, I guess. I mean, I guess I'll have to learn some new things and get used to some stuff that I have not been used to as a man. Sure, that's something I'm not gonna have fun with, that's for certain. Do not get me wrong, I'm not gonna frickin' enjoy that. But that 1% chance, meanwhile, I'm almost guaranteed to just get $1 million and then go home. I don't really see a downside on this one, okay? Fun probability fact. If you press the button 100 times, there's roughly a 1/E chance you'll become a girl. Fun gender fact. If you press the button 100 times, you were almost certainly a girl to begin with. Exactly. Think about it that way, right? Besides, are we allowed to push the button more than one time? Are we? Look, does that mean that I can use this to my advantage, hit the button a few times, get a few $1 million almost guaranteed, or am I just getting the one? I think I'm just getting the one, but I'm not there to push it 100 times. I don't trust the universe. I just don't. Not that much anyway. Like this image to instantly burn 1.42 calories. The average amount of calories needed to what? Oh, perform such an action. It's funny that does not say in perform at all. Needed to perfon. That says perfon such an action. 1.42 calories. You know, I think a lot of people also forget just how many calories you're going to burn by sitting here and being alive. All of the bodily functions that you do to simply exist. I mean, there you are. It takes energy to be alive. I think, what was the average? Like anywhere from 80 to 120 calories an hour just by being awake and existing. So that's not a bad amount, okay? Not a bad amount at all. Of course, you eat one 5-layer burrito and suddenly you've gained 13 pounds, you know. You know what? Instead, do a Crunchwrap Supreme. Much better for you. Much healthier option, I would say. Technically, calories and calories are different. What we refer to as calories are actually kilocalories, or 1,000 calories. So, you burn on average 2,000 calories a day, or 2 million calories. This is weird. When you stretch it out like that, the number makes a bit more sense. I'm sorry, I disagree, dude. That didn't make any more sense to me at all. Like, I really hope that someone responded to him and went, you're probably right. You know, I don't know enough about any of this to dispute it, but the only difference in these two words being the capitalization of the C, no, you didn't really, I don't follow. I'm sorry. I understand the breakdown of, 1,000 calories, kilocalories. I get that part, but no, it does not make a bit more sense. I'm sorry. It might to you, Matt, but it absolutely does not make more sense to me. So get the f out of here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Chernobyl workers watching the reactor make 40 years of energy in 3 seconds. Man, can you imagine if there was a way to store that shit? You think that'd be awesome? Just a big old battery. Hey, look, the plant may be gone, but at least we got the 40 years worth of energy goo we can siphon from whenever we need it. Oh man, we got to start doing nuclear again, man. We gotta. I see it as a great option to carry humanity forward. You know what? If we keep f***ing it up and, causing nuclear disaster, I don't know, I'd prefer that to the slow frog in the simmering pot death that we're currently experiencing because of things we've done in the past, okay? I don't care how naive a statement that might be, but this is really bad, all right? It's getting a little hairy out there, all right? It should not be like 94 degrees at the end of autumn. You know what I mean? Hell, at the beginning of 2025, in January, like January 15th or something, I was able to leave the house in short sleeve shorts. I was fine. That was January, man. No. The design power of Reactor 4 was 3,200 megawatts. Over 40 years, it would release, that means nothing to anybody, which is 20 times the energy released by Tsar Bomba. Since Chernobyl did not culminate in the largest nuclear explosion in history by an order of magnitude, we can say that the meme is inaccurate. The last reading from the instruments during the accident gave a power reading of over 30,000 megawatts. The reactor exploded almost immediately after, but it puts us in the ballpark of 10 times energy production. We should also note that the 30,000 megawatts, or megawatts per million watts, or / million watts, sorry for the confusion, excuse me, was the maximum displayed. The real energy might have been much greater. Right, if that was the limit on the actual display and what they could see on the tools, the readout, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I didn't think it was actually going to have been 40 years. That's actually crazy. Anyway, see, this is the math I would never, ever, ever be able to do. I can barely do, like, if you asked me in my head, what is 8 plus 25? It's going to take me a second. I'm not kidding. It will take me a minute. 42 plus 60? It's going to take me a second. I'm not kidding. Like, those are both very easy. I don't know. I know I'm not alone in that, for sure, but numbers, foreign language, always have been. Are there enough churches to feasibly do this? Let's see. If every church in the United States helped 2 unhoused people find a home, there wouldn't be any unhoused people. Well, I'm sure someone in the comments did the math and figured out, if this was true or not. I'm hoping. If I think about it, what are there, about 600,000 homeless people in the United States? There's gotta be more than a couple million churches here. Hell, I bet there's more than a couple million churches in the Bible Belt alone here in the United States, right? I feel like this is definitely true. Because there aren't like 30 million homeless people in the US or something. Still, 600,000's way more than there should be. There should be zero. There should be 0 homeless people, especially when you consider there's like, tens of millions of empty homes and apartments that they're not getting rented out or sold because companies get to own our homes, the asset we deserve to live. Anyway, whatever. Who did the math? What are we seeing here? Okay. According to a quick Google search, there are 350,000 to 400,000 churches in the United States. According to the U.S. Census /HUD estimates, 582,000 homeless people are in the U.S. as of 2022. Let's say as of today, there's 600,000 homeless people and each church would need to help 1.5 to 1.7 homeless people find a house. To add to this, if each church covered the rent for the 1.5 to 1.7 homeless people, at the median monthly rent across the US being 1.5K, it would cost each church $2,200 to $2,500 per month. So tax the church, solve homelessness? There are so many ways we could fix homelessness. It's just, the answer itself is easy, but there's so many people that are like, who's gonna pay for it? Me. I pay so much money in taxes, and all it goes towards is, nowadays, like ICE raids to split up families and do horrific things in the streets to people. I pay like $10,000 a year, and that's less than almost every country in Europe for sure. I've got friends like in Finland that pay more than I do in taxes, but theirs actually seem to go towards normal stuff. The answer is easy. It's just, well, I mean, I feel like because they're homeless, they're subhuman, and therefore I don't want my taxes going towards them. I want my taxes going towards some overweight dude with Oakleys and an AR-15 wearing a face mask trying to go and kidnap people. That's what I want my taxes going towards. How heavy and how much will this be? Okay, let's see. Bob, you just won a giant tungsten cube. Are we looking at an AI image here? Is that what we're looking at right now? Because it kind of looks like it. I know they're trying to hide it by putting a big filter over it, but you guys know why I always bitch about this, right? Why I'm always like, I don't know, because like, huh? Maybe it's just overly sharpened, but no, it's not real, for the love of God. And a tungsten cube that large, back to the actual point of the image, a tungsten cube that large, oh my God, can it even actually sit in the studio? Can it be on that studio floor for real? I somehow doubt it. I don't believe for 1 second that thing weighs less than 10 quadrillion pounds, okay? I think we can all agree on that much at least, and if we can't, come on now. Assuming it's approximately 1.5 meters in each direction, and solid, tungsten density is 19,300 kilogram per meters cubed, so it would end up weighing about 60 to 70 tons. That's one big W for Tom. How much could you sell that for? That's what I want to know now, right? How much would that much tungsten be worth just to literally anybody for me to sell? Okay, so it's only 154,000 pounds. That's not bad, okay? Seriously, I'm not kidding. How does that thing even sit on that floor without crushing the earth beneath it? That is a dense motherfucker right there. There are 49 dogs signed up to compete in the dog show. There are 36 more small dogs than large dogs signed up to compete. How many small dogs are signed up to compete? Dude, now I'm getting flashbacks to goddamn school. You know, we've all had to answer these dumbass questions. I hate them. Stop it. Leave me alone. This isn't fair. I don't like having my PTSD thrown back in my face. I'm kidding. I don't have PTSD about math. I just don't like it. Someone had to have figured this one out, though, because you know damn well it's not gonna be me, right? You know it's not me. So, what are we looking at here, folks? Let's get that math done. 49 dogs total, minus 36 small dogs, is 13 remaining dogs, some big, some small. Problem doesn't mention medium, etc., so presuming there's only big and small. 13 divided by 2 equals 6.5. One big and one small dog entered into the competition had been involved in tragic accidents. No! Oh, man. I'm getting flashbacks to the Wobble Dogs playthrough over on the YouTube channel Pie Holes all over again. No! Not bad math, though. This seems pretty normal to me. We care about the environment, be honest. I am being honest. How many years would the average person need to live to match your annual emissions? 77 million years. Thank you. It's cool. And there's nothing we can do about it, right? Isn't that cool? There is actually no stopping these sons of bitches. The answer is sort of. Some basic facts to start. In 2023, Shell reported it had emissions of 1.174 billion tons of CO2. The figure is controversial for various reasons, but we'll take this at face value for the purposes of this post. Emissions are divided into 3 categories: Scope 1 and 2, which cover things Shell directly does, like operate a refinery, and Scope 3, which covers Scope 1 and 2, and then also adds indirect emissions, like the fuel the fuel that shell produces, which is eventually burned. The Scope 3 number is much larger than Scope 1 and 2. We'll assume that that's the number that the meme is using. The meme doesn't make it clear what average person means. The average human emits about 15 tons annually in the US, but globally, the average is about 6 tons annually. The mean is also skewed somewhat by people who use dozens, hundreds, or thousands of times more emissions than this. For example, frequent air travelers. For purposes of this post, we'll use 15 tons a year. How long would the average person need to live to produce the equivalent of 1 year of Shell's emissions? For that take, we'll take the 1.174 tons, blah, 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 15 tons. Okay, so about 78 million years. The math checks out if you use the Scope 3 numbers. If you use the smaller scope, 1 plus 2 numbers instead, you get 3.8 million years of an average person's emissions instead. Yes, very good to get down to the minutia of that, I will say. 3.8 million years, much lower than 78. However, still insanely disgusting and horrific when you think about it. If everyone took just one fry, we'd be bankrupt. Think before you snack. I don't belong to you. Man, shut the f up. Shut up. We'd be bankrupt my ass. Come on. You guys own so much land? You don't make money on fries, dude. That explicitly loses you money. What are you talking about? How much would it cost McDonald's for a single day in USD if each worker on every shift had one free French fry versus how much McDonald's loses in waste for French fries daily? So, how much would it cost McDonald's to give everyone working one free French fry every day that they work versus how much McDonald's literally throws in the garbage? Now, what would the annual cost of one free French fry per employee per day look like in comparison to McDonald's total profits for last year? Now, if the annual cost of one free French fry per employee, wow, really hard to say these words together, could have resulted in a theoretical net loss for McDonald's last year, please extrapolate how long it would take at that same consistent rate of loss to bring the value of the company to zero. Would it take more or less time than it took to build the Great Wall of China? There's about 13,500 McDonald's restaurants, each with an average of 50 employees as per their 2023 numbers. A large McDonald's fry is about 80 fries in it. Numbers seem to vary from 75 to 90 depending on where you're getting your fries, and it costs $5. No, that's the retail, not what the company actually pays, for a total of $0.0625 dollars per fry. So if every employee, not just the ones on staff, ate a single fry every day, it would cost the company $42,000 based on retail fry numbers. For individual stores, it wouldn't even average the price of a large fry. Thank you. From a quick Google, McDonald's net worth as of December 2024 was $210 billion. So if I magically turned them into a big pile of French fries of equivalent worth, it would take just under 5 million years for the employees to eat through that pile. Nope, I screwed up the math. It would take a little over 13.5 thousand years. Still not exactly clear and present as a danger, though. How many 50 cals would it take to actually redirect a hurricane? To clarify, do not shoot weapons at Irma. You won't make it turn around. It'll have very dangerous side effects. Yeah, please don't. Well, let's see. A bullet has a drag coefficient of around 0.295. A 50 cal bullet has a cross-section of around 131.8 millimeters squared and a velocity of 1,000 meters a second. The air drag formula, I'm not reading. My Google tells me that air density in a hurricane is 1.2 kilograms per meters cubed. That puts the drag force for a single bullet shot into a hurricane at 0.0245. Is that newtons? The longest sniper kill was 3,800 meters. A 500-gram bullet. This is annoying to read. This is not entertaining. But that was my first Google result, and I don't know bullets. Would lose approximately 0.175 meters per second due to drag with that force and that distance. Okay. Total momentum is conserved. 0.1, blah, blah, blah. Hurricane Milton has a diameter of... Holy Christ. Okay. So that's a number that I can't read. That is a huge number. Look at that. Can any of you read that offhand? Can you tell me what that number is just by looking at it? Just what is that number? Oh, that's actually insane, though. I think we could do it. That is a big number. Google tells me that machine guns shoot between 500 and 1,000 rounds a minute. So I'll say they shoot 15 rounds a second. There are 345 million Americans, according to this result. If every man, woman, and child in America were dual-wielding machine guns firing nonstop, it would take 7,000 years. Fun fact, in a single flight, Bill Gates' private jet emits more carbon than your car during your entire lifetime. Isn't it awesome? And these parade around thinking that they're actually helping or trying to help us. Isn't it cool? Isn't it cool? Look, no, I don't believe Bill Gates is putting microchips in vaccines. I just believe he's a billionaire that's caused more damage to our planet than every single viewer of this video multiplied by 100 and then combined again and then multiplied by 1,000. I don't like him for those reasons. Last year, Bill Gates took 392 flights on his private jet for a total of 3,000 tons of CO2 emitted. That's 7 tons per flight. Your typical American car produces 4.6 tons a year. Multiply that by 58, your average life expectancy in the US, deducting 18 years since you're not going to be driving until then, and you get about 266 tons of CO2 over your life from your car alone. So no, one flight does not emit that much. However, he still easily does that in about a month, given his average number of flights. Edit. Since many people seem to have gotten confused, the average life expectancy in the US is 76, but you deduct 18 years from that since most people get their driver's license around that time, and you get 58. I'm 27 years old. I have $120,000 in debt from an undergraduate degree. I've been paying $970 a month for 5 years, and of the nearly $60K I've paid in that time, only $2,000 has gone towards the loan. I ask again, how the f was this ever legal? Let's see, seems like Sean was paying interest-only payments for the majority of the time to the lender. $120,000 over 30 years at 9% interest would be around $965 a month. Over 5 years, this would be $53,000 in interest. Again, stuff like this should be illegal, actually. The amount of interest is insane. And of course, they're not going to be transparent with you about this because they want you to be giving them free money for the rest of your life. That's it. That's the game, guys. Receive 60 grand in cash or 600,000 in pennies. Choose wisely. 600,000, that's 6K last time I checked the calculator, but y'all can have them pennies. They said $600,000 in pennies. They did not say or 600,000 pennies. You need to learn to read. Let's see. 60 million pennies would have an aggregate volume of 20.94 million cubic centimeters or 21,000 liters. As for how large of a container you would need to fit all those pennies, its capacity would have to be greater than that since discs won't pack perfectly. Finding the lower bound for the volumetric capacity of a container able to fit 60 million pennies is beyond my expertise. Would love to know if anyone has any ideas. The world is 700% richer than in 1970, but the average person is only 8% richer because the richest 0.01% are 4,000% richer. We're all being robbed every second of every day, and it doesn't matter how much profit growth there is, it will never reach you. Let's see. Not for the world, probably. Finding actual figures for human per capita income from 1970 on was a bit rough, as many third world countries would have been more estimates than actual data. But I did find this report. But that doesn't mean it's wrong, only that the poster was being poetic. Let's drill down a bit and look at one country in specific, the United States, which I suspect is what they were actually talking about. In many Western countries, but especially the US, there's been an enormous amount of wealth generated since 1970. US per capita GNP was $5,420 in 1970 and $80,300 in 2023. That's a 1,381% increase. But almost all of those gains have gone to the top, with middle class income remaining largely stagnant, adjusted for inflation and lower class going down in some years. So the answer is complicated. It depends on what stats you use. For much of the third world, things will have gotten better, but for many first world countries, the wealthy took much of the gains. Circle the smallest number. Tell or show how you know the answer. Yay. Not sure if this is the altitude of this sub or it's too abstract, so I better go on to another. Saw this post in the pic, smiled and wanted to go on, but suddenly I thought about the second part of the question. I could come up with a popular explanation, like if I have 3 cookies, I can give fewer friends one than if I had 10 cookies. I see. Or I can eat longer, a cookie a day. Okay. But all this explanation rely on the given, teached, felt knowledge that 3 friends are less than 10 or 10 days are longer than 3. How would you proof that 3 is smaller than 10 and vice versa? Start from a number is smaller than its successor. Being smaller is a transitive property. Then we get this, okay? If I did my math right, those starting block speakers made a difference last night. Without them, Lyles would have been at a disadvantage of 0.008 seconds. How long the sound of the pistol takes to travel from lane 4 to lane 7. He won by 0.005. What is the area of this shape if the side length is 4? Behold, a square. A shape with 4 sides of equal length with 4 right angles. I am not going to read all that. I'm sorry. That would take me an hour to... You guys get I can't f***ing read that stuff, right? So the total area is a number we can't comprehend. I can't read that shit. So if I equals 4, that makes about 10.94. Okay. Does the scale read 100N, 200N, or 0? If I imagine myself holding the scale from the ring end, I'd have to pull 100, is it newtons? I don't know, to get the left weight suspended. If I replace my 100N exertion with a The scale won't recognize the difference. That's as simple as I can figure it. Same, I thought the scale wouldn't tell or couldn't tell if it was connected on one side to a wall or to a counterweight, as long as nothing is moving, so it must read 100. What would happen to the turkey if you did this? Pro tip, instead of cooking your turkey for 4 hours at 350 degrees tomorrow, save some time by cooking it for 1 second at 5 million degrees. This is 10 times the estimated temperature at the size of the nuclear blast at Hiroshima. The turkey would cease to exist in any recognizable form. It would be an X-turkey. If this sucker were made entirely of uranium, it would supply the average American's energy demand for 84 years. After 84 years, the only waste would be the size of this sucker. It would eliminate 624 tons of greenhouse gases from equivalent coal generation. All right, let's see. Assuming the diameter of the dum-dum is 2 centimeters, that's about 80 grams of uranium-235. 80 grams of uranium will release about 6 by 10 to the 12th power joules of energy in a fission reaction. The average American uses about 3 times 10 to the 11th power whatever joules of energy per year for all use, not just home electricity, but transportation, workplace, share of industrial production, etc. That would mean the uranium can provide about 20 years of an average American's energy consumption. So yeah, this is in the ballpark, although about a fourth of what would actually be needed for a full 84 years. It'd be more like 300 grams. Note that this is a little misleading since uranium-235 is only about 0.7% of naturally occurring uranium, so actually they would need to process about 42 kilograms of uranium to get the 300 grams of U-235.